The return of Buck Showalter today. Buck Showalter with us again, one of the best baseball minds of the generation. I'll go one-on-one with Buck. That is happening, Buck. What went wrong, what went right in his tenure with the Mets. Buck and John Heyman on the panel. Christopher Mad Dog Russo in the showdown. We'll have our baseball-y and un-baseball-y plays of the day. Normally we show good execution, top-flight field awareness. Last night, a lot of boneheaded stuff, sloppy stuff. We have to keep it somewhat real. Bad baseball is ahead. But first, big night for Bryce Harper last night. 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, beat a good Reds team. Bryce Harper, for all of his fame, is actually kind of underrated. I'll explain. Let's do a little digging in. Bryce Harper is a big star, obviously, 2-time MVP and October legend, but his stats, overall stats, are kind of misleading. Over the last 3 seasons, Harper is 6th in baseball in OPS+. That's your total hitting. Aaron Judge is number 1 by a wide margin. And then 2 through 6, they're all about the same. Yordan Alvarez, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto. So Harper's right there, too. But essentially, he's only being beaten by Aaron Judge as a hitter over the last 3 seasons, which is a pretty good sample. So I want to compare them and break them down to the slash line, right? The one guy who's clearly ahead, again, is Aaron Judge, and then Bryce Harper. Here's the slash line. We'll start with Bryce Harper. 297, 402 on base, 546 slugging. That's the slash line, slash. Aaron Judge, 291, 402, 615. This isn't park adjusted. Harper is hitting in a slightly better hitter's park, but you get the idea. They're close in batting average. They're the same in on base. Slugging, though, there we go. Aaron Judge has almost 70 points in slugging on Harper. But let's now look at healthy Bryce Harper. If you recall, Harper was cruising to a big season in 2022 before getting hit on the hand by Blake Snell. That's not Harper's fault, and it derailed an MVP season. He came back early from that injury. He wasn't able to hit for power for a while, but he came back because it was better for the team that he play hobbled than not play at all. If you also recall, he had off-season Tommy John surgery right after that postseason in 2022. The next year, he came back early in June. That's way ahead of schedule. He came back because it was better for the team that he play hobbled than not play at all. So let's look at healthy Bryce Harper. 2021, that full season, all the way up to when he was hit by the Blake Snell pitch in 2022. You see right there, 415 on base, 610 slugging. After the surgery, when he recovered then in 2023, 413, 575 slugging. And let's throw in the playoffs too, right? 2022 and 2023, when it matters the most, he's got a 432 on base. He's slugging 705. This is Bryce Harper, healthy Bryce Harper, that is roaming the earth when he doesn't come back early to help his team. So let's compare the two again. What is healthy Bryce Harper doing against the rest of the field and against the top hitter, Aaron Judge? And here it is. We'll include the batting average now. Healthy Bryce Harper hitting 310, Aaron Judge 287. On base 416, Aaron Judge 397. Slugging, 610, 607. Bryce Harper's better. We didn't park adjust it. It's on the whole. No, Judge got hurt too. He had to come back. But this is healthy Bryce Harper, the regular hitter that's out. But he's not sacrificing for his team by hanging on, not being able to hit for power, coming back early, and all of that. So you could make the case, I just did, that healthy Bryce Harper is the best hitter in baseball. This guy's underrated. Harper has also hinted that he'd like a contract extension. He has 7 years left after this season. We'll discuss that. But we're going to ask you, which superstar free agent do you think is the best recent signing? Ohtani, Judge, Harper, Machado. Betts was a contract extension. You can go where you like. We're talking $200 million and up. Real money, John Heyman. Let us know what you think on X, at MLB Now. We'll have it for you later in the show. John Heyman is here. Buck Showalter is here. We'll talk.
I got to have some of your coffee. Nice going. God, that was impressive.
All right, so give me something on Bryce Harper. Your thoughts. Again, my point is, I hope I'm making it, Buck. He is coming back early, and he's lingering on when he's hurt because he knows, I'm just going to hit singles. I just got to be in here. But when he's fully healthy, he's right there with Aaron Judge.
You just won me over a little bit. I was a little skeptical when I heard that. And as I listened to you about the healthy, and you made a good point. You're not sure if Judge is completely healthy and all those numbers. Mm-hmm. The last time you're 100% is when you get out of the car in spring training. Okay, you're some form of less than 100% the whole year. But I love the fact that this guy said, listen, my 85, 90% is better than the guy that's replacing me's 100%.
Right.
And, you know, to sacrifice, there's some ego involved there. Because I've seen him where he's struggling a little bit physically, but his presence with his team, defensively, just being there, and the tone that he sets for this club. I mean, Dave Dombrowski, I've watched the type of players he acquires. He doesn't bring in people that don't post up. And the other thing I like about him, he gets hits off tough pitchers late in the game. There's a lot of guys that feast on the fourth and fifth starter, the long middle relievers, not the guys that pitch when the game's really on the line. He will get a hit off a tough pitcher late in the game.
Yeah.
And not many people can do that.
Okay. What do you think, John?
Well, you know, I like you. I enjoyed your mental and verbal gymnastics there to get your theory approved. But, I mean, Aaron Judge has got to be the best hitter in the game. 977 OPS. Harper is one of the best. I will say that.
Did you just see anything that I showed at all? Were you watching any of this? Like,
I'm with
they're
Buck.
essentially
Judge,
the same.
Judge
It's
is
just a matter
playing.
of if
they're all playing not 100%. So to pick out.
But no, in real time, hold on, allow me to make my point. In real time, we knew that Harper came back early after getting hit by the pitch by Blake Snell. And then in real time, we knew. Remember, he come back from Tommy John surgery, and it was like, this is very accelerated to come back from Tommy John surgery. So I think he is sacrificing, knowing it's better to have me here, even though I'm not at 100%. I can't hit for power, but I'll be here. I'm just saying apples for apples. I know it's a little bit of cherry picking.
I know the Yankees are saying Judge is fine. I think he's still got a foot thing. He's still got an abdominal thing. He's still playing. They're both very tough guys who are playing whenever they can play. They're both great for the team. They're both great leaders. I mean, Harper has helped that team get Castellanos and Turner and all these guys. He's been great for the team. Certainly one of the top 10 hitters in the game. But I mean, if you look at all the raw numbers,
you're damning by faint praise. Top 10.
No,
he's at least
how
top
is that
6.
faint praise?
Top 10 because he's top 6. No matter how you slice it, and I sliced it to number 1.
Top 10 is a Hall of Famer. Top 10.
And what's better, number 1 or number 10? 1.
Well, Judge has got the better numbers, so I got to go with Judge. I asked Soto, who's the best hitter in the game. He said Judge is the best right-handed hitter. Alvarez is the best left-handed hitter.
On the whole, right? I'm not sure. Right. I did a little cherry picking there. I'm trying to do a little bit. On the whole, yes. I thought it's Aaron Judge actually the last 3 years, and then there's a gap, and then there's 2 through 6.
And I'll take either one of them.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
they're both pricey.
One thing about
which is our question, right?
Harper's a baseball player. If you think about the notoriety he came out of high school and junior college, and to answer all the expectations,
absolutely right.
It's hard.
Right.
It's hard. Like I got to tell you, Aaron, when Aaron came out of college in California, it was like, wow, here's a big, strong guy. And the baseball players you're into, this guy's had the microscope on him every step of the way.
And he's completely
delivered.
Right. So
you have the microscope on you in New York, even if you're not the number one guy from the start. So that's not easy.
There's a pretty big microscope in Philly, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He asked for it, right? We thought he'd go West Coast at the time. Now, it brings us to another point here now. He has hinted toward this. His agent, Scott Boras, has also said this. And normally, when you sign a guy to a 13-year contract, especially Philly, did you think, well, that precludes any renegotiation. We've got you locked, and we gave you that length. I would say, though, they kind of have a point.
I want to hear this.
He has totally transformed Philadelphia baseball.
So he's got 7 years left.
7 years left.
And he'll be how old in the 7?
Is it age 38? So they're looking for age 39 and say age 40 seasons and a little something on the top. I'm just saying, he has delivered in every fashion. And now Philly baseball is a thing. It was big before. No, Chase Utley, Jimmy Ronzo was big, but it dipped a little bit, and now it is a hot ticket. He's a big part of that. I'm saying, I'm listening to that.
Okay, you're the owner, and you and I walk in and go, hey, I think we should give this guy who's got a contract at a decent rate at 38, give him an extension. I'd say, is he going to be the hitting coach? Is he going to be the general manager? No, I hear you. Don't preclude this guy from playing at a high level at 38 either.
True. I'm just saying I would make an exception for the winner's bracket, and this guy has put himself in that winner's bracket spot.
I think John Milton may be the only owner who might consider this, because I don't think anybody else would. I think he is a terrific owner, particularly for the players, and I think he appreciates what Bryce Harper has done. There's no obligation to do this, obviously. He doesn't have any real recourse to do this. He's not going to sit out. But I do believe that this owner will consider this.
And I'm saying I know their point, and it's uncomfortable, right? They're saying, hey, we gave you 13 years, especially at the time. Since then, we've seen 12-year contracts. But even back then, 10 years was the max. They went 13 so they wouldn't have to do it. So I get their point. I understand it.
And they said, we don't want the opt-out because I want to commit myself to Philadelphia, and I want to sell Philadelphia, and he certainly has helped recruit guys who have helped this team. Turner, I think Turner
It's
might
a
have
whole
come
thing.
anyway, but
Philly,
Turner, Castellanos, some of these other guys. So, I mean, a case can be made. I don't think many owners would do that.
I got you.
I do think.
I got you. I'm just normally I'd be like, "Are you kidding me? We signed you at 13 for this reason." But I'm saying if a guy's going through a wall for you continually, and you become such a hot commodity, I don't know.
Did the Phillies get any slack for signing to 13 years? I mean, do they get any credit for stepping out and taking that risk? You know, when they gave him 13 years, or is it just all one-sided? I mean, the Phillies were the ones that said, we're going to commit 13 years to you.
Right. And we didn't think they would win.
You know what's going to happen in the next 13 years in life, period? But they did it, this guy. Did they get any slack for that? It doesn't sound like
that was actually negotiated down. They were talking about a 15-year deal, and it became a 13-year deal. But you're right. I mean, they gave 15 years. They stepped out. It was a record at the time, the 13 years, and the money was a record as well at the time.
Remember the Wayne Garland contract? When it was
10 years.
10 years, $200,000 a year. It's going to ruin baseball. Remember that? It's like, you can't have a contract.
Winfield.
Well, how long was that?
I think it was close to that, right?
Was it 10, wasn't it? John Hayward would know.
It was over $20 million, and then it escalated based on whatever.
Like managers getting 7-year deals. It's crazy.
GM got a 7-year deal this offseason. By the way, you and I will talk. We'll talk about that. It's good to have you back, by the way.
That's a matter of opinion.
We'll take a short break.
No, it is.
Hello there, Brian. How are you? Good to see Buck back in the mix. And Mr. Heyman, you got a good crew in there today.
Absolutely. So, Dog, let's talk about Bryce Harper. Let's keep it this way. Is Bryce Harper the best free agent signing in baseball with what he's done in Philadelphia?
You referring to in recent vintage?
Yeah, like
you're not talking all time, are you?
Last decade or so, yeah.
Well, I mean, Reggie was a great signing by Steinbrenner. He won 2 championships and was phenomenal. But listen, I don't have any problem with Harper. I think this extension talk is about him being annoyed that he's only making $25 million a year.
Yeah.
And he wants to get more money out of it. I don't think it has anything to do with that he wants to stay in Philly the rest of his life. I think that's a bunch of nonsense.
He's already there for most of his career. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you know, he's got 8 years to go, for crying out loud. My God. So, and I heard John say maybe Middleton gives it to him. Who knows? I wouldn't, because you're paying him $330 million. You still got a long way to go. But he's been a great Philly. Let's be fair about that.
Yeah.
That's a tricky town to walk into. He left a big-time team that had been in the playoffs. He took a chance to go to a team in the division in a very hard fan base.
Well, that's my point, Dog, is that he has, he has transformed Philadelphia baseball. Have you gone to a game there? It's crazy, and it's always crazy, and it's active, like day games on travel days. They have good crowds. There were 6 in attendance, and that can be tricky because sometimes some parks are bigger than others. But they had their largest attendance in 10 years. He's made Philadelphia baseball a thing. That's why I'm saying as a point to ownership. It's like, yeah, we know it was a 13-year deal, and you did it to preclude any renegotiation. However, like, he's delivered. He has gone through a wall for you again and again. And in the postseason, Dog, you can't beat him.
Well, for $330 million, I'd hope he do a good job for your franchise.
But his AAV is pretty low. But Dog,
I mean,
I'm just saying,
you're making it sound like they didn't pay him. They gave him $330 million.
You're right. But if he's making 26 a year, and Anthony Rendon's making 36, and other guys and Ohtani's making 70, he's going to look and say, what are we doing?
That's the way it goes, though. You know, listen, they don't renegotiate downward when they play lousy. So why should you renegotiate upward when you play well? So, I mean, you know, the players want it. Well, you know, if we overplay our contract, we want to be paid right away. But they don't give you back the money when they stink. So, I mean, I don't like that. Sign the contract, live up the contract, do your thing. Now, as far as his ability is concerned, here's what I would say about Harper. In a big game, season in the line, I'll take him.
Correct.
Because he's not afraid.
Would agree with that. Yep.
He handles that crowd. He's scary to hit. Great power. He's aggressive. I'll take Harper. He is not going to. And Judge
you're selling him pretty
not
good.
hit in the
he is
postseason.
not. And neither is Mookie Betts in a while, Dog. So you're selling him pretty good for a guy that you're not going to renegotiate with him, but you kind of like him an awful lot. You got to say he's like a super special baseball.
Brian, it's 2 different arguments. It's 2 different arguments. I mean, he's got 13 years to go on. Yeah. It's 2 different arguments. But as far as his baseball is concerned, in a big game, absolutely. Now, I don't know if I take him 162. I don't know if I take him over some of the guys over 162. But in a short series with big pitching, pressure, those things, I'll take him over anybody. I'll take him as much as anybody. I love Alvarez in Houston. Alvarez is a big game player.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm with you about Harper.
I take Harper first. Hey,
go ahead.
How about this? Doug, we're both on the record not being in favor of the $400, $500 million deal. But I have to admit, Juan Soto as a Yankee is looking a little more attractive. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the Yankees are going to find themselves in a tricky spot because they got Steve Cohen across the street. The Mets are going to have to do something because I think this is going to be an awful year. And Cohen's going to go out there and he wants Soto. Soto is obviously, has been shown in Met paraphernalia. They would love to get both owners fighting for the same player. The Yankees already have Cole all that money, Stanton making a fortune, obviously Judge making $360 million. They might have a little bit of a limit.
He's been
the Mets
sharp,
might
dog.
be right in the mix there
True,
to go out there.
But right, and I'm against it. I'm down on that sort of thing, and I don't like his defense, and his base running is only 25, and still those things are declining, and yet he's locked in right now, and he's a terrific
he's a great
fit.
hitter.
He's a terrific fit, too. Yankees were kind of stayed, I don't know, not boring, but they were just kind of in fixed position. They were kind of like robots, and now he comes in. He's just a perfect fit for this group. I'm overanalyzing, or I'm underanalyzing it, but I'm just saying he's a perfect complement to that whole mix of the pinstripe straight up and down, and he's locked in. His approach is great at the plate, working hard on defense. He's impressing an awful lot.
100%. He knows the strike zone better than half the umpires, for crying out loud. He is a tremendous job with his every at-bat. He's taken 1 million pitches. Listen, my point is the Yankees are going to be in a tricky spot. He's going to have a big year.
Yeah.
The Yankees, I think, are going to have a big season, too. They're going to be in the playoffs. He's going to have, hit 320 with 40 homers, the whole 9 yards. And then he's going to want $500 million. And I'm not sure how the Yankees are going to let him go if he has that kind of season, especially to the Mets.
Right.
So I think that because the Mets are going to be in play for him. The Dodgers won't be in play. Maybe the Red Sox too. But the Mets will be in play for him. Yankees will know that, and he's going to have to pay him $500 million. And they got a huge deal anyway with all these other players. That's going to be interesting to keep an eye on.
I think you're absolutely right, Doug. And I think the similarity here is I warm to performance. Right? When I see a guy performing on all cylinders at the highest level, I can see that level contract. Normally, I don't like that sort of thing. Doug, thanks so much. I'll tell Buck you said hello.
By the way, did the Mets finally call Tuesday's game off, for crying out loud? I mean, 9 o'clock at night in a monsoon on a Tuesday? Oh, my God. Buck's out. He's happy he's out of there after that disaster last night. I had to get that in.
It's a rough go. See you, Dougie. Is up there, Blake Snell, and I thought Josh Hader as well, but he came in 5 years, $95 million. Let's go back to the week that contract was signed. We had Tom Verducci and Ruben Amaro. You'll enjoy this. It was 2-on-1. They were dogpiling on me. Here, watch this. I'm not in favor of relief pitcher epic deals, and yet he is like a generational pitcher.
Last year was not impressive?
It felt less than a great Raleigh Fingers year, yes.
Yeah, 1.28 ERA is it down here. Wow.
I hear you.
Great. I didn't have you for geometry.
For $100 million, I'm saying I would get. It gives me pause.
Josh Hader and I say that's a Billy Wagner to making. He's on the Hall of Fame highway.
So you love it.
I love it also because if I'm the manager of the team, I got my 9th inning locked down.
You're an all-time great, and then you can get shaky very fast. By the way, he was shaky for a good period of time last year.
You're talking about his early 30s for Josh Hader.
He started getting shaky around 28.
The bullpen is so important in this day and age. You have to be able to have as much depth and power
I wrote a whole chapter on bullpenning. Yes, no, I get it.
Why aren't you with us then?
Because I'm not with you for $100 million. I'm saying I think at the end of this deal, the Astros will regret it. How about that?
I think the Texas Rangers will regret it. How about that?
There we go. All right. Now, again, I know he's coming off a blown save. I'm not just piling on now. I didn't like it at the time. What do you think of the deal?
I like it. I like Josh Hader. We're 1 week in. I will tell you this, that they didn't sign 3 middle-type relievers who are good relievers, right? Stanek, Maton, and Neris.
Yeah.
They combined make $19 million. He makes $19 million.
But isn't that part of what we're talking about? When you pay the big guy, sometimes all right, we can't pay these other guys.
But I do think he is an all-time great reliever. At a 1.2 ERA last year.
Yes.
I do like the idea of a lockdown closer. I watched Rivera for 20 years here in New York.
Mariano Rivera.
I get it, but he has the lowest batting average against and a better whip than Mariano Rivera.
Also, his velo is going down. His walk rate is going up. And my comp is Craig Kimbrell. Buck, also an all-time great in run prevention. And yet, they're now walking a tightrope between success and failure. I wouldn't go 5 years, $95 million, I'm saying.
What do you do without them? It does push
you keep those three guys, possibly.
But it affects everybody. It pushes it down. There's more than just, we're not basing this on one outing. I understand what you're saying. But try doing it without them. Try doing it without them. There's a lot of
they did last year. Had Ryan Presley closing, you'd build up the other part of your bullpen. I'm saying, as you know, when you do this, like the Mets did with Edwin Diaz, and you didn't have him last year, when you put the eggs in one basket, the eggs don't go in other baskets.
Right.
I was there, so I will say Ryan Presley did not look like himself in the 2 games that I saw him pitch against the Yankees. He was not like Ryan Presley normally is, and he is a great closer also, particularly in the postseason. So I do get that point. He's now a setup man. He's dealing with it. He's been very professional about it, but some guys just prefer that 9th inning.
Okay. Where are you on big money contracts for closers?
Depending on who it is, for the most part, be careful. Buyer beware. Because the wear and tear it takes on a relief pitcher and a starter to get that type of track record to warrant that type of contract, somebody's going to be holding it when it pops.
You're talking about a guy whose team drafted Hader, right? And he missed out on using him. So he has a different perspective on it.
We took him at 17, 18 years old, Dean Albany. I remember the scout took him, the All-Star game, high school All-Star game. He goes, hey, stay after the game day at Camden and come see this kid Hader. So I'm watching him. He's about 6 foot, maybe 180 pounds soaking wet. I'm going, Dean, he's throwing 88, 89. He goes, oh, I know. This is 19th, 20, 25th round. I know the family. I think
really? Wow.
Good projection.
Wow.
And 3 years later, he was throwing 94, 95 and was about 6'2", 6'3", and that's scouting.
Yeah.
But then we traded him.
All right. Sorry about that. Look, this is, you put it well, and I also, we lost a little of the nuance there. It was just little highlights of our January, back and forth. But I understood his point. He's throwing 80 innings a year for Milwaukee, and he's saying, I'm burning out as we speak, and I'm never going to make my contract, and this is how I earn my living. But I still didn't like last year when suddenly the Padres couldn't use him whenever they wanted to use him because he was saving his bullets.
There are a lot of guys who are one-inning closers. He's a great one-inning closer. 1.2 ERA last year. He was huge. He's not the reason the Padres disappointed last year. He was fantastic for them.
Right.
Look at his career
453 innings.
Look at that whip, like 0.94, better than Rivera, like a 156 lifetime batting average against, better than Billy Wagner. This is an all-time great closer. So I have nothing against the signing. Obviously, it doesn't look great after 2 outings, but...
And I don't want to too much on that. Right. But I'm also looking forward 5 years of paying that guy and an awful lot of money. That's sort
free
of
agency for you. This is why you would sign nobody, because,
I'd stay out. I'd extend my own guys. I'd extend them before they got even close. But you look at this. Look, Diaz, now it's like year 2 of his deal, but he didn't pitch for Buck at all last year. And look, not his fault. He got hurt in the WBC. It happens, but, it remains. He hasn't pitched yet. He just started to pitch. Liam Hendricks got ill. It happens. Wade Davis fell off a cliff. Chapman also walking that Kimbrel tightrope. A lot of guys, when they lose a little of the velo, suddenly that action's not there, and they go from here right off the cliff.
In a perfect world, you're self-sustaining. Everybody tries to go, when the guys get to the point where the wear and tear on them or the money is kind of prohibitable, then you go get somebody from your minor leagues. That's why everybody wants, the most valuable thing is a young, controllable, not much money being paid young pitcher. They're hard to find. And if you can develop your own, that's why the premium, you see these guys sometimes, the Angels took all pitchers in the draft.
Right.
If you can develop your own pitchers and keep the next crop coming, that's the utopia everybody's looking for, but it's hard to find.
And you didn't think we'd ask you about the Mets? I haven't seen you in a suit now in 3 years. Of course, we're going to talk about this.
I was sitting there like, wow, you guys are going to talk to me about it. I want everybody to know this is not my idea, but let's do it.
Excellent. I want to ask, as I think it's fascinating, what happened between 1 year and the next. Let's start with, you started off 35-17, year 1. Your club was immediately focused. You had a bigger impact on a club, on an organization. I think I've seen anybody. Immediately, they became a serious club. What went right year 1 with the Mets? Let's start there.
Well, Edwin had a great year. I don't think there was a better closer in baseball, and as good a year I've ever seen a relief pitcher have from start to finish.
But there was an attention to detail too. Talk about that. Don't be modest. Talk about what was going there.
I had really good players. I had a good minor league system. They still do, and it just a lot of things clicked. Talk about it. There was a great karma, a little engine that could. We captured that that feeling you look for when you're competing.
So how do you
We have
capture
good
that?
players.
Yeah, how do you capture that feeling? Because again, there seem to be immediately Lindor's sitting next to you. Everybody's locked in. You're looking at the details. How does that happen? How do you do that?
I think you trust the players. I think there's a certain way that you do things that are never going to show up, behind the scenes. Everybody tries to do it. And there's a lot of people can do it as well, if not better. The manager now with the Mets, I love his path. I think he's going to do good things there. I love what they've done there for the most part. And if I knew exactly treating people and handling people is probably the key to the job. You have to have respect for what the people in the front office bring, and they have to have respect for what you bring. And there's two different things. I'm not going to tell a pilot how to land a plane, and I'm not going to tell a general manager what. There are certain things that they do better than you do as a manager. But the flip side of that with coaches, and there was a great, Billy Epler and the minor league people, everybody's on the same page, and still are. But you realize how quickly those things can change.
Right.
With one thing happening, whether it's a Marte or a Quintana or trading guys and this and that, whatever. But you're part of the total package there.
Right.
And you're just a small part of it. And you got to keep in mind at all times, Brian, that it's about the players. It's always about the players. You're a ship passing in the night.
Mm-hmm. You're driving it. Year two, then, when you look back and assess, what went wrong?
Well, those are excuses. I've told the players all the time, play better. Play better. People don't want to hear it. You think the Mets fan get up in the morning and worry about this guy being hurt, this guy being out? Nobody wants to hear it.
Well, what happened?
It doesn't behoove anybody to sit there. Everybody's got their opinion. Life's too short, Brian.
Right, but you were in it, and I'm just wondering. Now, clearly had injuries, and Diaz never pitched for you, and that sort of thing. But I've never seen one club go from as focused to not lost, but like I saw the Mets and the Padres last year, both of you, high expectations, top 3 payroll for both of you, and it was crazy to watch it not happen, especially for your club.
Well, what drives those expectations? Sometimes it's last year, and sometimes it's a payroll increase. Because the people in the clubhouse, they don't have those. We're going to talk about a little later about the weight of expectations, as opposed to, you lose sometime that I'm laying in the weeds. We're going to ambush you. You don't expect too much from us, as opposed to being the hunted. There's a whole different karma there. But I really believe that over the course of the season, all your strengths and weaknesses show up. That's the beauty of baseball. There's no Cinderellas in baseball. And once you make the decision that you're going to sell, there's a whole different dynamic in your clubhouse. There's especially in New York, but at this level, Brian, there's a snowball. Especially in New York, it can snowball so good and it can snowball so bad, and it gets extenuated even more so because of the mental and emotional part of it. And you're doing something that people really care about, and they love the Mets and they love the Yankees, so you're going to be critiqued. And if you don't like it, you need to go somewhere else. Nobody had to tell Bryce Harper that he was going to be critiqued in Philly. It's part of the job description.
Right. But you're saying also
it also pays well.
How much does the money matter? That you are known as this is the #1 payroll in the sport, the #1 payroll of all time.
Well, when just about every question starts with that to the players, they say, hey, do you expect this? And everybody's saying this and that. The year before there was none of that. It was just a freedom to play with your hair back and just letting it rip. And all of a sudden, everything had to, what have you done for me lately? That's the world we live in. But if you don't like it, go do something else. It's part of it. Play better.
Did you think you'd be back for the 3rd year of your contract?
I don't. That's somebody else. It all happens for a reason. I'm happy for Carlos. I'm happy for, David Stearns is there now. Billy did great things with me.
When did you think you weren't coming back, or was that just at the very end?
Does it really matter?
I was wondering, Joe, or were you? Because I thought
the night before the last game. How's that?
Was it?
Yeah. So. It's all right.
It didn't occur to me that you wouldn't be back for year 3 after your year 1. That's what I'm saying.
You realize it's a very, shelf life of managers. You got to keep in mind where you are on the food chain. Keep in mind, if you think the game can't survive without you, it's going to eat you up. But it's, I'm not trying to play. It's just reality, Brian. In today's game, I tell guys, just be yourself, let it rip. Do it with reckless abandon, but also keep in mind that telling truths that hurt innocent people's a bad thing. So, can't we just all get along?
Sure. I thought you deserved. I was on the record. I said it many times. I thought you deserved better. I thought you transformed that organization that first year. And I thought that is enough now to carry you back and see what would happen in year 3. I thought you deserved better. I said that on the air.
I appreciate that, but I also feel like it's kind of like when Joe came to New York behind me. He got exposed for how good he was. A lot of people didn't know it, whether it be, you realize that there's people that can do the job as well, if not better, but while you're there, you got to grind the heck out of it and treat people like you'd like to be treated.
Are you going to manage again?
I don't know. It depends on how we do on this show.
Okay. You and I have done a few tours of duty now. You know that?
Don't tell them too much. We were back at, oh my
We were
God.
ESPN after Arizona.
What are friends, people that know all about
After
you and
Texas.
still like you, right?
Right? Yeah. Where else? After the Orioles. Immense success, and then now after this. But you'll be back, and you come back, and
I hope 30 people never have to worry about a job. It's painful.
Yeah.
It is. It's tough.
All right. You got to show the other side of it, right? Otherwise, everybody's great. You can't just show, isn't everybody just great?
Well,
It's not
they
true.
are in the major leagues, so they are. Everybody is great.
Yes, and then within that thin slice, there's poor execution and there's clean baseball, and then there's sloppy baseball.
And that's the problem with a lot of coaches. I just tell coaches, listen, don't forget about how bad you were at times when you played. This game's hard. It's really hard. And you're playing it until you get on the field and see how fast it is. But sometimes coaches, you want to lose players, act like you never made a mistake.
You stressed that a lot. I remember being in camp with you with the Orioles, and that was part of your thing in spring training was you guys were tight on relays and where everybody was supposed to be.
Well, I think when you come out of camp to start quickly, it's an indication of kind of your spring training, but you don't do something until you get it right. You do it till you can't get it wrong. There's a big difference in the two of them.
Oh, there you
and
go.
you got to come back to it.
Oof.
You can't just do relays
Such a great manager.
Relays or
He is such a great
rundowns
manager.
and then do it the first day and don't come back to them. You want to find out if your players got it. All of a sudden, in the middle of a workout, stop and go, hey, rundown. Bunt defense number 2. Boom. See if they've got it then. Instead of when you're doing a drill on field 73 on the back field.
That was nice, wasn't it?
He's good.
It's out of nowhere, Buck.
good.
I don't know, just spit that. All right, here we go. Think baseball. The guys don't get the question ahead of time. We had Bryce Harper with 3 home runs last night, Buck. So which left-handed hitter has the most 3 home run games in Major League Baseball history? Think that through. Think baseball, the answer when we come back.
There is a speed bump on the front. There is a speed bump on the front. There is a speed bump on the front. has been processed normally. It has been processed normally.